Hey everyone, welcome to Data Cleaning and Transformation. Part 7, Encapsulate all steps into a single class. So we've finished all of our data transformations and we're ready to put all of them inside of a single class and then that class inside of a Python module, which we'll be able to call at any time, do all of these transformations all at once. Now, before we do that, there's one more step we can take, and that is to write our data, our prepared data, to a folder. So you remember that we have our data that is stored in a dictionary of 4 data frames. So what we're going to do is just use one of the methods or one of the functions we defined in a previous notebook called write data, and then write it to a different folder called data/prepared. These two are passed in to the toCSV function. They're forwarded to that method in pandas. So we will use the index here because the index contains the date, and that is important. And we're actually going to call it, we're going to label it as date, not as this. It's unlabeled at the current time. Okay, so let me run this, and our data is now in this prepared folder. There's 4 CSV files there. Now we're going to move on to putting all of our work into a single class. So essentially what we're going to do is every exercise that we've done over here is going to be made into a function or into a method for this prepare data class. So instead of just writing it all here, it's essentially for the most part just a copy and paste. I'm going to go to the prepare.py module, which is already finished. So if you go over here to your file system view and you just scroll down, you'll see that there's a few Python modules, and prepare.py has all of the code from our previous notebook. Now there's just a little bit of a difference here. So I'm just going to scroll through here. You'll see we have these constants. It does have some of the work from the notebook before this, which is just downloading the data from the GitHub repository. So here's our class called prepare data. And there's one thing that I've added, and there's an initialization parameter called download new, which is set to true. And what this will do, instead of read from your local files, it will actually go to the Johns Hopkins and get the latest data. So if you initialize this with download new equals false, then it'll just read from your local data. So you'll do this, set it equal to true whenever you want the latest data, or if you're just trying to work on the analysis part, you can set it to false. Okay, so here is this is actually from the previous notebook. This is that same download data function. This is also the same one, write data, read local data. And now this is from the current notebook of the data transformation. So this is the select columns method, and it's going to look very similar. Here's update areas. And again, that is the same. Here's group area. Here's transpose to time series. Here's the fix bad data, which is the very last one we worked on. And finally, there's a run method that will run all of these. And it looks essentially identical to our run methods from before, except that we have just this one condition here on whether to download the data as new or to just use the local repository. So it will choose between the download data method and the read local data method. Okay, so that's it. There's a few more functions. These are going to come up in the end of the course. They're not, we haven't gotten to them yet, but this encapsulation, which just means a capturing of data and methods that all kind of work together, is just placed in this class. So there's very little that's new here. We just kind of threw it all in this class. So if we go back over here, I'm not going to write it in the notebook since it's very redundant. But what I am going to do is show you how you would use it in the real world. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to just import it from the prepare module, and then we will initialize it, and then we'll call the run method, and that's all we're going to do here. And this gets the latest data. You know what? I'm actually going to say download new equals false. So I'll initialize it and just read our local data instead. which will be much faster here. And there you go. So now our data is back into the data dictionary that has our 4 data frames. So, this is a nice way to kind of wrap everything up. You put it into a class that all has the kind of, that works with the same kind of data, does the same kind of transformations. And this one is, called prepare data. And then we just have a run method that just runs all of the steps. And we output from the run method a dictionary with our 4 data frames. Okay, so that completes all of the data cleaning and transformation. And in this video, we just encapsulated all of the steps into a single class.